advances to the Final Four.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball Podcast.
Shout out to Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball, man.
Welcome back to the Chillinois Basketball Podcast. It's been about a week since we've recorded anything. A little bit of a slow season for us as there hasn't been much news in terms of the transfer portal, additions or subtractions, at least at Illinois. And we're going to take this opportunity now to talk a little bit about the NBA draft. We're a little bit ahead of schedule as the draft isn't until June 23rd and 24th. But the lottery is May 10th, so 3 days from now. Then the combine is the 10th through the 17th. And the withdrawal deadline is June 13th. So we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA draft, some Illinois players that could potentially hear their name called on draft night. And with us to do this, we've got a very special guest for you guys. Someone we're really excited to have. We met back in, what was it, March?
March, yeah, Big Ten
Yeah,
tournament.
March. Yeah, at the Big Ten tournament. Dion Hill Ford from Sleepers, a guy we've been watching for a long time. Both Noah and I are big fans of his and Sleepers in general. So we're really honored for you to come on here and do this with us. Really cool to have you. So thanks for doing this, Dion.
Of course, bro. Pleasure's all mine. I appreciate you boys having me on. I rock with the merch, by the way. I know I told y'all that in person, but since we're on here, I just want everybody to know I rock with the merch. I'm getting me some for sure next time I pull up to Green Street.
I'll get the merch plugged on early because we do still have merch available and we're still trying to come out with some DePaul stuff. But yeah, all the money is still going to Coaches vs. Cancer. So if you guys want to order stuff, it is on our website. Noah got the hat right now. He did cut off the rope because he hates rope caps. But Noah, what are you pointing out here? You've muted yourself, Noah. Noah, you've made a rookie mistake a minute into the video. You've muted yourself.
All right, my
There you
mistake.
go.
As you can see, the ropes have been cut, have been severed, because I'm not into trendy stuff. I'm not into that hipster stuff. I'm kind of like a wild card in that sense. So I just cut it off, but it does kind of look ridiculous as I'm in this outfit.
Yeah, you are rocking a sport coat with a tie and a wife beater.
This
So
this outfit is one that I've worn in the past on the show, but I believe this is a original, 1980s, possibly even 1910s. I mean, this thing is ancient, so I don't know what year it came out, but I do like that the shoulders, it kind of makes me look a little bit stronger. So I like that.
all right, well, there's the breakdown on Noah's wardrobe for the day. Let's get into the draft talk now. We'll get going with first and obviously Keaton Wagler. We're an Illinois slash DePaul podcast, but I don't think there's any DePaul players that will be drafted. Maybe CJ Gunn. But as far as Illinois players that will be drafted on the 23rd, we're
Okay,
going to
no,
give
no, no.
Keaton Wagler
Dion made a
one.
face when you said that. That's disrespect to CJ Gunn right there.
Hey, listen, somebody's got to get picked in the second round. That's
I
my new
said
thing.
maybe CJ Gunn. I'm not expecting
Hey,
it. So
somebody's got to go in the
Gunn
50s.
CJ Gunn won some kind of mysterious three-point contest. I don't know who held the event, but he got a giant ass chain, so he won, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, so somebody's got to go in the second round. Why
yeah,
not? Why not CJ Gunn?
why not CJ Gunn? But let's talk about somebody who we know is going in the first round for sure. In recent mock drafts that I've seen between 6 and 10, we'll see what the lottery, or at least the lottery is going to come out and we're going to see where certain teams fall, and that should shake up the first 10 picks a little bit. But Keaton right now is being projected between 6 and 10. When I was looking at mock drafts before we started this podcast, looked like Memphis was a team on a lot of people's radar to draft him. I really like that pairing with John Morant. Another team I saw that I was really excited about that I saw in mock drafts was the Washington Wizards because I would love to see him and Will Riley play together, kind of like Ayo Dosunmu and TSJ are playing right now. But he could fall
Brother,
to a lot of different teams.
I got Will
Um,
Riley news for you. I don't think you're gonna see him
uh-oh.
him and Keaton
You're
play
you're just
together.
breaking news to us
What
all
happened with
over.
Will Riley?
Nothing. I hate to be that guy. Will Riley's not starting next to Keaton Wagler on.
Well,
Mm.
I don't think they'll start next to each other. It would just be cool seeing them play next to one another at certain times. They don't start. Okay, no, there's the C. You got to bring CJ Gunn back into
Bro,
this.
that chain is just way too big. Whatever
It is a cool
contest he won,
chain.
I don't know why they need to give him that big of a chain.
That
Uh,
had to have been the one they do at the Final Four where they
It
do
was
like the
the
seniors come together for
Yeah,
the slam dunk and 3-point thing.
Didn't NJ
exactly.
Benson participate in the dunk contest too?
Probably.
I don't know
He's a
what warrants
beast.
that. He just throws down alley-oops. He doesn't do anything fancy with it. But anyways, back to Keaton Wagler. I've seen Memphis. I've seen the Wizards. Um, I told Dion before I texted him, I said I was going to say this. The one team I don't want to see him go to is the Chicago Bulls because I don't want them to mismanage his career and then trade him away for a second round pick uh, in 4 or 5 years. So as a Bulls fan, please do not, as an Illini fan, please do not draft Keaton Wagler if the opportunity presents itself, Chicago Bulls. But
We're,
Noah,
we're the Timberwolves farm team at this point.
yeah, no, and I like that. I can get behind that. I like being a Timberwolves fan. Like I feel like that's a cool team to support, and I like Anthony Edwards too. But Dion,
Yeah, it's
I'll
a
ask
lot
you
of fun.
first. Where do you think Keaton ends up? Do you see a team that is there a team that stands out to you as like a potentially really good fit for him in his first year as an NBA player?
What website do you guys use for mock drafts?
ESPN, but that kind of feels like a rookie thing to admit.
That's fine. I use Tankathon. So even more of a rookie thing to admit. Like Tankathon doesn't even update this. Um, I, um, I
I
My
use
bad.
Andy Katz, so that's probably the worst source possible.
Tankathon currently has him stuck in between Kingston Flemings and Darius Acuff. I do not want to be disrespectful. Whatever team, but I am about to be disrespectful though. Whatever team takes Keaton Wagler over Darius Acuff, that GM's probably getting fired one day.
I don't disagree with you. I've been a huge Darius Acuff fan all season.
Yeah, he's my. Well, I know we're gonna do a segment on it, but like, I love Acuff.
I do too.
I think he should go way. Like I've said it for the last like 2 months. I have him above Cam Boozer. Like I think Acuff should be in that Devonta Peterson range. I mean the teams. Honestly, I think Keaton would get a lot of justice done by falling. So my honest opinion of Keaton is like I think he's more supplementary than he will be primary. And you mentioned going to the Grizzlies. I don't believe Ja's going to be on the roster. So like
Yeah.
I think it's likely Ja gets traded this offseason. I think this is the year they finally pull the trigger on that. Bro was at the Magic game, like watching Desmond Bain. That was weird. Like that wasn't as cool as him and JJJ thought it was. That was bizarre. I think Ja gets traded and they try to give the reins to Keaton. If I'm Keaton, I'd probably honestly probably prefer to fall to like that eight. I'm gonna skip over nine because that's the Bulls. I know you don't want them on the Bulls, but that 8, 10, 11, 12 range where you get the Mavs, the Bucks, the Warriors, or the Thunder, even 13 with the Heat, where you're not the primary guy. I don't believe that's Keaton's game. I thought it was in college, but I think in the NBA, he's gonna struggle to create space.
That presents a really good point, though. Do you think NBA GMs are looking at him as more of a facilitator or like a point guard, or do you think they're looking at him as like an off-ball guy? Because I mean, like I agree with you. In the NBA, I think he'll be much better suited as a shooter. I think his athleticism kind of limits his ability to drive to the lane like he did in college with so much success. Just because there's huge guys in the NBA, like there's no Victor Wembanyama in NCAA, like so that would be tough for him to do. Now, I know he kind of played at his own pace, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who he's drawn a lot of comparisons to, has found a way to do that, but I think Shai is a little bit more athletic as well. Um,
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's my question for you though. Do you think teams are seeing him as more of a facilitator kind of a guy, or like if I'm an NBA GM and I'm drafting him as a point guard kind of position, of course I'm taking Acuff first. Because
Right.
Acuff was a very dominant scorer and passer in college basketball, and I think that'll translate to the NBA as well. Um, do,
Um, I think it's tough, bro, because I think. And again, this is gonna sound disrespectful, like so. I hope people don't like hate this comment because like I'm trying to be like nice with this one, not necessarily the way I was with the previous one. He dominated smaller individuals. Do you know what I mean? Like like he made his money. Oh, you're gonna put the 6'2" guy on me? Food. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like the guys he went up against that have similar size to him are so much more athletic that I think that's the tough portion with Keaton, where if you play him at the one, I believe in the NBA, it's not quite the same, if that makes sense. But if you
Mhm.
play him at the two, that's probably where he's best fit. But like, what's he gonna do? Like, what's he gonna do with an NBA two though? an NBA two is like a freak athlete that's taller than him. Like
Yeah.
I think he needs some of that size advantage to offset the lack of athleticism. He's just such an interesting prospect to me. I really do believe like I hope it works. I hope it works,
Mhm.
but he screams the type of prospect that costs somebody their job. Like I don't know if we're gonna look at the whole lottery. There's six dudes in the lotto where I'm like, that GM's probably getting five. Like, like
Yeah.
whoever takes him immediately on the hot seat. I don't think Keaton's the guy that puts you immediately on the hot seat. But let's say you're the Kings, and seriously, you're the Kings. You're picking at five. You're picking in that Kingston, Acuff, Fleming's range, or
Mhm.
excuse me, Keaton, Acuff, Fleming's range. If you pick wrong, cooked, cooked.
Yeah.
And the
That's
other
a
two are just safer prospects. I feel like.
that is a very good point. And I agree with you too. I think Keaton, career-wise, could definitely benefit from falling a little bit because if he goes to one of those teams with proven players and he's not like expected to be the guy, I mean, it's definitely going to benefit him. I think it'll help him gain confidence quicker. I'm not sure he'll play very much if there's a team that's loaded with talent, but he has the shooting ability to work his way into a rotation, I think, in his first season. Noah, what are your thoughts on Keaton Wagler, at least on his draft stock?
Well, as a Bulls fan, I do want to see him come to Chicago.
I figured you'd say
We
that.
we got new, owner, well, not new ownership, but we got new management. We're gonna get a new coach. So hopefully, they're turning things around. I mean, I stopped watching them after they traded Io. I've been boycotting them. But if they get Keaton, I'll get back on the train. And if Chicago can at least get into the play-in, which we know they can because they're playing merchants,
That's their
then I
Super
think the
Bowl.
city will buy back in. People will start going to the games again. And I mean, you could have Keaton be the face of the franchise right now because nobody else is really doing it. I mean, you got Josh Giddey, you got Buzelis, they're both great, but I think having, you know, a top five pick, hopefully he can go top five. If he falls to six, seven, eight, then, it is what it is. But, and that's the other thing too, though. The Bulls got to get a good pick. They got to get a good position in the lottery. They've been getting screwed lately. So they're due for a little bit of Dallas Mavericks tampering. So hopefully they can get a top four pick. I saw they have like a 20% chance to get a top four pick. So I think they'll just give it to them, honestly. They'll say, you know what, Chicago's earned it. They deserve something. But if they do get a top four pick, they're not going to pick Keaton. So it's tough either way, but I want to see Keaton wherever he goes. I want to see him succeed, and I
Isn't that
really
a
do
little
think
of
he
the
can
beauty for
succeed.
you guys though?
Well, that's the thing. It's like if we get him at, eight or nine, then I feel comfortable there. You feel like you're not missing out on anybody too good. But if you got like four or five, it's like as a Bulls fan, you probably want to get somebody else. But as an Illinois fan, I want to see him get Keaton Wagler. So it's just tough.
Do you
Uh,
where just out of curiosity for you guys, I don't mean to like take the hosting duties by the way too. I'm
no,
sorry.
you're good.
Uh where do you guys so like every prospect NFL or NBA has that moment where they feel like, okay, this is the first team that might take me, right? And then they have their like, here's the worst case scenario. Where do you think he starts to like, all right, let me make sure my phone ringer's on?
Mm,
I think if he slips outside the top 10, he's like pissing his pants.
I think top 15 certainly. I think KJ and Will Riley went at 20 and 21 last year. And I mean, obviously, Will Riley was a higher touted prospect going into college than Keaton Wagler, and so was Yakachonis. But I think if he started to fall in that range, that's where he's certainly like, is
At
my
that point,
phone
I'm calling
on?
my agent. I'm saying, take me back to Champagne. I'm not going top. I'm not going number 20. I'm going back to Champagne. We're going to
Well,
win a championship.
unfortunately, if he waits until June 23rd, he can't make that decision and go back to Champagne. But
We could sue.
um,
We
he
could
could
sue.
Yes.
sue. He
We could
could
sue.
sue, which we know you'd stand on a hill and die on for
Just
about
play in the
not
G League. You can
happening.
go back. I mean, they got G League players coming back. Why can't Keaton just go play a little bit in the G League and go back down to college?
I
I
guess that's
agree.
a good point, Noah. But no, it'll be interesting. But that's a good question, Dion. I think 20. I mean, anywhere past 15, he's definitely a little bit more concerned. But also the other thing is, I don't know Keaton personally either, but he doesn't seem like the kid that's like too high on his own ego. Like, I mean, his parents were expecting him to be a red shirt his freshman year. So like I'm sure they're in his camp reminding him like, "Oh, it's Keaton, baby. It's okay. It's okay, sweet Keaton. If you get drafted in the second round, like it's gonna like things are gonna work out." Like he's always been underrated. So I don't think that'll weigh too heavily on him. But I don't know. When you see your name in the lottery, obviously like that, I've never seen my name in a lottery draft pick before, but I was usually getting picked at the end of the lineup
Maybe
in
for
drafts.
frisbee golf, you might be picked top
I
five.
wasn't good at frisbee golf either. I wasn't good at many sports. That's what I'm saying. I used to get picked last unless I was the captain. But yeah, I don't know if it'll weigh too heavily on him, but I don't know him personally. So, but that is a really good question. Now we've got a lot of discourse about Andre, and we almost talked about it for 10 minutes before we started the podcast, and we were like, all right, we just got to record because otherwise we're gonna run out of stuff to talk about on the podcast. I said I mean, Andre has been projected to get drafted in the later second round, I think. I've seen in mock drafts. Maybe he's moving up a little bit. We'll see. With the combine, players do move up and move down. So maybe he puts on a good showing and he shoots the lights out for 6 straight days, and everybody forgets that he shot 25% at Illinois. So we'll see. But I said before we started this podcast, I think Andre is the type of guy who would it's my belief that he would benefit from coming back for another year, monetarily for sure, because I think he'll get paid more in NIL money at Illinois than he will with a second round draft contract. But Dion did have some statements against that. I just now I'm getting worried about how many gosh darn hearts he's going to break in Illinois because there's a lot of fans in Illinois that watched that video that said I'm back and everybody got excited and I know he's not like an Illinois he hasn't been an Illinois player for longer than a year, but he's a guy a lot of people really fell in love with and rallied behind, especially at the end of the season. But you know he is a Stojakovic, so he's got an NBA legend's name attached to him. I'm it's kind of opposite of Keaton, you know. His parents weren't
Yeah,
like, Keaton, if you want to play basketball, that's great, but we'll support you either way. I don't know. There's stories where Peja says he never pressured Andre to play basketball, but your
that's a
name is
lie.
Stojakovic, so
It's a
Heaton
lie.
almost considered coming back. He's a top five pick.
He did
Andre is not
not.
even going to
He
get
did not almost
drafted.
consider coming
Dion is
back.
going to tell you that didn't happen.
He did not almost
I don't think that ever.
consider.
I know he had a talk with Brad Underwood. I just think the talk was very one directional, and they knew the entire time where it was going. So.
He did not almost. He did not almost consider coming back. Whatever lies you're telling everybody, the kid who was ranked 100 something did not almost consider coming back when he was told he's a top 10 pick.
Yeah, he's looking at 30-40 million dollars. So I wouldn't look back either. But let's talk about Stojakovic just because it is a pretty, I guess my argument for, not my argument, my take on it is it would be a really big slap in the face to Illinois should he not come back, having given he made that video and he said, I'm back. You know, he did announced kind of right at the end of when the portal, like when you could announce you could leave in the portal. He announced right at the end of that. Then he said he is going to the draft early to test the waters. So I think it would be kind of a slap in the face because Illinois did kind of assemble this roster not around him, but as a piece of the puzzle. And there is arguments that I'm sure Dion, you're going to make that Illinois might be better off without him. They might find a piece that fits better, but I do think they'd be missing something, and it would have a lot of fans like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now because we lost Andrei Stojakovic? But what are your thoughts on the situation? Uh, I don't know how much you're able to tell us legally, even, but I know you've heard some things about him potentially leaning towards going to the NBA draft.
I haven't heard it. That's just my opinion on it.
Okay.
Andre is currently, I'm going to use the ESPN one. That's why I asked which ones you guys look at because I want to do a little exercise with you guys. Here's why I think Andrei Stojakovic is going to the draft. So Andre on ESPN is currently considered currently the 54th ranked player, right? I'm gonna list off seven names in front of him, and none of them are going to the draft. These are all guys that are gonna withdraw. Tyler Tanner, Juke Harris, who already did. Milan Momcilovic, who's likely going to withdraw and probably get a bag. Luigi Swigo, who I didn't even know was in the draft. I thought he was just going to college. Malachi Moreno, again, didn't know he was in the draft. Flory Badunga and Matt Abel. as well as Ruben Chinyelu. That's seven names ahead of him that will not play college basketball or will not play NBA basketball next year. So he's 47th right now.
Yeah.
There's people in front of him that are not going. And then if you go into the end of the first round, right? You have Malik Thomas, who might go back to Arkansas. You have him. I think Amari Allen actually did declare. Koa Pete, who I think is going to Arizona. Like I don't think Koa Pete's going to play in the NBA next year. It seems like he's coming back. Allen Graves probably gonna go, but you never actually know with Allen Graves because he might. The Duke rumors seem to be pretty real. Like it seems like they're wait saving a spot for him. And then Merez. I know Illinois fans don't want to hear this. Probably going to the draft, but there's a non-zero chance he's back at Michigan, right? Like that's not a for sure thing. That's 10
No,
names, man.
no would have a meltdown if Mraz Johnson came back next year.
If
Oh man.
Andre makes it to the early to mid 40s, yes, you're right. He's going to make way less money, but he's going to get 4 years. If he can get a contract that guarantees him 2 to 4 years, he's gone. That's my belief. And I believe there's going to be the reason he even entered the draft in the first place was all the withdrawals. He said, "Oh, everybody's coming back to college. Somebody got to go in the second round." That's my new motto. Somebody got to go in the second round. Like only 71 players are like being in 73 players are being invited to the combine. There's 60 picks. Like there's going to be 13 guys at the combine that will not be on mock drafts at the end of the combine. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. We used
That's
to have
not
hundreds of people declare for the draft.
that's not a point I had really taken into account at all. But it also brings up another question that I have, and I'll start by asking Noah this. Because there is the conversation on the flip side, like, oh, if he comes back to Illinois and he's like their number one guy, he could elevate himself. I don't know. I've seen people say elevate himself into a lottery pick position because it is a weaker draft class next year. I don't think that's possible. I like his game, but he would have to start shooting like 40% from three to even be in that conversation and be that dominant. Now, I mean, there's a lot of talk about having the Terrence Shannon first year Illinois and second year Illinois jump. I don't think he's going to have a Terrence Shannon level jump either. But there are the arguments that like if he comes back to Illinois, works on his game, works on his shooting, he could elevate his name into a higher draft pick next season. Is that something, first of all, Noah, do you think he's capable of doing that if he's like the guy on this Illinois team? Because I mean, it's very possible with how talented this Illinois roster is going to be next year, with or without Andrei Stojakovic, he might find himself coming off the bench again for parts of the season, depending on how he's playing. Now, I know he's probably not going to be happy about that if Jake Davis is starting over him again, but Brad's not really too worried about like, oh, your name's Andrei Stojakovic, I gotta start you. He's worried about his team winning basketball games. So, do you think the argument that if he like comes back, he can make a case for himself to elevate his name in the draft for next year? Is that a compelling enough argument for him to come back? Noah, if you want to give your
I,
thoughts on
I
that.
think the thing with Stojakovic is like we'd said earlier, maybe this was off camera, but he didn't necessarily want to go to college. He kind of wanted to just go to the NBA. But I think that all changed when he got to Illinois. I think he really likes Champaign. I think he likes being with the team. He likes the coaching staff. He likes all of his teammates,
Well, we've
Merck,
already said his guy Boswell is gone. They were like twin flame
Yeah.
soulmates.
dude, I'm telling you, I think he likes all those guys. They seem to all get along. Him and Boswell were soulmates. They were close. But that's the thing. The Bulls can get Boswell with like the 59th or 60th pick. He's right down the road. They can visit each other. They can hang out.
A high
I think
school musical
Stojakovic
situation.
does enjoy playing college ball. I think that he likes being the guy. He likes being, everybody's cheering for him, crowd going wild. If he goes to the NBA, he'll play a little bit in the G League. If he lasts 4 years in the NBA, I'll be surprised, honestly. He's just not a good enough shooter right now. And yeah, he can drive to the basket. I suppose that's decent. I mean, he's not as good as Terrence Shannon at driving to the basket, and he can't finish nearly as well as Terrence Shannon, in my opinion. But I mean, I just don't see why, and unless he's, guaranteed something that I don't know about, I just don't see why he would want to go to the NBA for less money, smaller role. Because remember, Terrence Shannon, he came to the locker room. I don't know if it was, I think it was last season with Will and KJ, and there's a clip of him talking to the guys saying, "Listen, it ain't always sweeter in the NBA." Now, granted, this was before all of his success now in the playoffs, and he's the big star, and everybody's talking about him. But he told those guys, like, "Listen, enjoy it. It ain't always sweeter. You know, you go to the NBA and you're playing in the G League. 14 people come out to watch you, and your relatives can't even watch it because it's on, NBA Pat TV Pass or whatever the hell, Amazon Prime now. Everything's on Amazon Prime. So." If I'm Andre, I'd come back to Illinois because you're already 22, whatever. Your stock's not going to drop that much more from getting 1 year older. You're not some 18-year-old that they can mold into this superstar. I say come back, get the bag, literally just pull unlimited puss on campus. I mean, I don't even want to think about how much he's going to be able to pull because it's making my head spin. But the combo of his hair and his bag that he'll have next year, oh my God, forget about it. I mean, models talking about, do you think DJ Smirk is going to get a lot? Andrei Stojakovic is going to get some. That's all I'm saying.
That was the most wild comment you've ever made about Andrei Stojakovic on this podcast. And I think you've called him like pretty before, so
Oh, he
um
is. I mean, you can't deny that.
he's got good hair.
He's first team all looks. We've said it before.
Yeah, I mean, I did send him a photo.
Homer.
I sent a
Homer.
photo of him to my sister because she used to have a huge crush on Myers Leonard, and I was like, "Is this
That's
the new
crazy.
Myers?" I was like, "Is this the new?" Well, that I mean, my sister was like 15, so
Does
but
she listen to his music? He makes music
no,
now.
she thinks it's hilarious. She thinks it's really silly. But anyways, she used to have a big crush on Myers Leonard, so I sent her a picture of Andrei Stojakovic, and she goes, "He looks like he's 16." And I was like, "Well, that's fair. He's like 8 years younger than you." But anyways, Dion, I could see your brain was stirring. I'll ask you the same question. Does that argument is that compelling enough of an argument for Stojakovic to be like, "Oh, maybe I can come back. You know, maybe I make a name for myself at Illinois. I'm the guy here, like kind of like Terrence Shannon Jr. did in his second season." Um,
Yeah.
but is
Is he
that
the guy though? Like,
TSJ? I mean,
No,
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 no, no, no, not
Andre.
TSJ, that Andre. Andre. Like,
oh,
is he the guy?
Andre?
Like, on the
Well,
pecking order, where would you guys like if we're doing like first, second, third, fourth options, where is he at? Because to me, he's like at minimum,
Well,
like
he's like the vet. It's like Boswell.
I
Boswell
think
was the
he's
guy, but he really wasn't the guy. But it's like he was the glue. He held everything together. I think that's going to kind of be his role. He'll be the older vet, but he's not going to be like top three in scoring. I don't think.
I think he's definitely the most instant offense for the Illini. Like, I mean, he was a walking turnover at times last season when defenses kind of figured out his three or four go-to moves to get to the basket. But, you put him in the game off the bench, and he was capable of going on 6-0, 8-0 runs by himself. So I think he's the Illini's most instant offense. But this Illini team for next year is going to have so many moving pieces, which makes it very interesting to me because I feel like it's the deepest team they're going to have in a while, which is crazy considering how deep they were last year.
yeah.
But it's like Andre is going to have to find a role for himself. So my thoughts on it are either Andre's going to find that role for himself very early on, and it's going to be successful for this Illinois team, and he's going to love it at Illinois. Or he could be a locker room cancer next year because he's not getting the minutes that he was promised at the beginning of the year and the minutes that warrant him getting all this money. So I think it could be a very sticky situation if it's mishandled. We've seen that in the past where I think Tomislav fought Yakachonis, and that's where Yakachonis got that wrist injury from. That was like behind the
Is that
scenes.
really what happened?
I don't know if they fought each other, but I think Yakachonis like punched a stanchion or something because he was pissed off at Tomislav. So, and I could be making that up
What could
completely.
Tomaslov have possibly done? He's like the most chill dude on the planet.
No, I could see them
We're
getting
talking about
angry.
the guy that started the year by saying, "Hey, I won't be back next year," and then
He also
ended the
did
year
try.
by
He
saying,
also
"I'll be
did
back
try to
next."
fight. He tried to fight Luke Goody in the Indiana
Yeah, he
game
tried to fight
last year.
Luke Goody. There was Illinois on Illinois crime right there. But yeah, I mean, I could see this being, if not, I don't know if Brad would mishandle it, but I could, and Dion, you nodded when I said this, but I could see him being a locker room cancer to this team next year if the situation doesn't kind of perfectly fall into place for him. Um, but I mean, I guess that brings me back to my original question. Like, if you've already said you think he's going to go to the NBA, but is that what would compel him to come back, I suppose? Do you think he sees a role
I
for himself on this team?
I don't. So I mean, a couple of things. Yeah, I'll tell you what doesn't get your draft stock up, being the old vet guy in a college locker room.
Yeah.
Like, there's no NBA team that's like, I want that. Like, so it's got to be a different role than that. He's got to be able to shoot. I think so. I've had this real. It's been 10 days since I've had this opinion, so it's pretty fresh. I think the reason the NBA scores so many points is because it's easier to develop your game when you're not going to class. And I know that's not like rocket science, but like if Andre was ever going to develop a jump shot, I don't think it happens in Champaign. I think it happens when he makes the next step. So that's why I think getting the guaranteed years is more important than the money. Because he's probably not going to do anything his rookie year. He's probably largely going to be playing in the G League, right? And then his second year is probably similar. And then it's that third year where it's like, what growth have you made in the first 2 years that's going to propel you to whatever your second contract is? If he can get enough guaranteed years to where he's guaranteed that third year, I think he goes. I think he goes because I think I mean, Noah, you mentioned like he's not going to be anything in the NBA. He's probably out. Like he doesn't think that, right? Like I agree with largely everything you said. If he doesn't develop a jumper, that brother, like, hey, get ready to learn Spanish, buddy. Adriatic League, you will be over there.
Guangdong Tigers.
Yeah, like he'll be on where he at very shortly. But like he doesn't think that. Andre views himself as like the man, right? So if
Yep.
somebody's giving him an opportunity, I think, and this isn't just an Andre thing, I think this is anybody that plays the sport. They're going to say, I'm going to take that opportunity and run with it, and no one's going to be able to stop me. So that I think it's the guaranteed years that get him to go. And then also like I'm gonna say a number that there's three. What do you think that is?
There's three numbers in terms of how much he got offered.
No, there's three seniors mocked in the first round of the NBA draft this year. So if
Oh,
he goes
That's
back to
it.
college, he will not probably be a first round pick.
yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Um,
Weaker draft, though. I mean, that argument.
It is a weaker draft, so we've been told. I'm putting this draft on notice. I'm starting to look at tape. Listen, let me pull this mock draft up again, actually. This mock draft is crazy. This thing says Isaiah Evans 23, Henry Visar 25, Visar.
I think Vox is going to go. I think he's only got 1 year left in him, and he's going to go to probably first round.
Bro, this draft says Amari Allen is a first round pick. Dalen
yeah.
Swain. Are we sure this is a good draft? Like, are we 100% sure? Like,
Yeah.
I love these dudes. Like, this was an amazing college season. They're talking about they're talking about Jaden Quainit's 15. Are we
It's
sure?
it's it's about the bag now. It's just about the bag.
But like, and no one's higher on a Daymara than me, right? I've been massive on him. 13? Like, are we sure this is a good draft? They're talking about Kareem Lopez, the New Zealand kid.
Yeah.
11.
Also, I think the NBA is becoming a worse product over the years, while I think college basketball is still a solid product. So I think a lot of it is the NBA is not competing with college anymore. Like when the NIL thing happened, the NBA should have made some moves, maybe expansion, add a couple more teams, do something to get people interested, to get the guys to want to go to the NBA, want to go to the draft. Because now nobody wants to go to the draft. They're like, if I'm not a top 10 pick, top 15 pick, I'm just not even going to go. Why would I go?
I don't
Exactly.
think I don't I don't know where I was about to go with that. I'm sorry.
Were you
I,
about
don't-
to
I don't
drop
think
some? You
I
were
don't
about
think
to.
the NBA wants to compete with NIL. I
I
think
was gonna
these dudes
say,
that are going back to school, the NBA doesn't feel like they're missing out on. That's what I was like. Who went back to school that you feel like they're like Koa Pete's probably the only name.
Well, I guess Merez, depending on what happens there.
Potentially Perez, but like respectfully to Juke Harris, I don't think there's a GM in the world that's losing sleep over Juke Harris going to Tennessee.
yeah.
Like I don't I don't think anybody was like, my draft centered around Juke
Well,
Harris.
keep in mind the NAL is early. I mean, 10, 15, 20 years
Yes.
from now, how much money are these programs going to have? I mean, it could get scary, especially now with, whatever that rule that they passed with the rev sharing, where it's pretty much football and basketball, have all the money. They don't have to, give it to the other programs now. So, I mean, you could see some of these schools like Kentucky. I mean, what's stopping Kentucky from giving Momcilovic $10 million? Nothing really.
Right.
Hope. Mark Pope and him not wanting to play for Mark Pope. Um,
I think NIL is working well where like the guys who probably weren't going to make the NBA get paid still. Like
yeah.
I think it's in a good spot. I think if the NBA competes with NIL, there's a lot of dudes that got like
Look
I'm
at
gonna
Kofi
make the
Coburn.
comparison.
Kofi Coburn would have made bank if the NIL was around. Instead, he leaves and goes to play for the Guangdong Tigers, and now nobody's heard of him.
Well, it
Well,
was the
I
same thing
was
with like Shebway on Kentucky. He came back for 7 years of college basketball and made a lot of money doing the same thing.
I mean, like literally Juke Harris. Like he could be a 33rd pick and said he got 5 million to go to Tennessee. I said this on one of the shorts we did about Juke. He probably not going to the draft now. Like that's out. Like this was your one chance. You blew it. I hope the 5 million's worth it. I hope you get paid next year. But that NBA stuff's out. I said it about Todd Pettiford last year. Hey, you had a chance, bro. You chose to go back. You committed to Auburn before anybody even knew you were eligible for the draft. That's how bad of a year Todd had. Like some of these guys that go back just get exposed, and it's unfortunate. But like once there's too much tape out on you, the NBA is like, "Oh, we're good."
Well, the
And
NBA, they have enough pathways now where you can get into the league without getting drafted. Like we're a
yeah,
DePaul podcast, look at Max Strus. He's somebody that he was undrafted and he's, starting for a playoff team right now. Well, I don't know if he's starting right
He's
now.
not starting,
But
but
but either way, I mean, you don't have to necessarily get drafted to make it in the NBA and prove yourself, but
yeah,
it's just the aspect of like, whoa, I get to see my name and the whole, spectacle of the thing. But I agree that, it's something that if you have the opportunity, you'd be a fool not to do it.
yeah. I mean, I think that's why Andre, I think, ends up taking it. Like to circle it all back to Andre, right?
yeah.
Like I don't know that that opportunity is going to be there for him next year, even if it is a weaker draft. Because
What do
also,
you think his dad's telling him? What do you think his dad's telling him to do?
I don't think his dad ever wanted him to play college basketball. I don't think Andre did either. Like I think if that was that high school pathway, I think they would have taken it. I think even if you fast forward to where the world is now, I think there's a world Andre plays in like Europe instead of coming to college and then goes to the NBA after a year. But I don't think the Stojakovic's ever envisioned Andre being at college longer than 6 months. And that's where like my focal point of like, yeah, I don't just I'm sure he does love champagne. I love champagne. If I could find a way to go back to college, I would. I love it there. Green Street's special, but like, I mean, you mentioned the numbers Andre's going to put up on campus next year. With all due
Yeah.
respect to Champagne, if he's in
And
the
how
league, he's still putting up numbers, right?
Hide your girl for real.
and well, I was gonna say like how special is champagne when you're a guy who grew up in Greece and like
Yeah,
I love Champagne too, but it isn't the most scenic place in the world that I've ever seen. So, it's actually ironic. I'm writing a paper about this for one of my college classes right now, like the benefits of NIL and whether European players stay or go in college basketball. So I think I'm just gonna keep this recording and submit that as a primary source for my teacher.
I
Be like,
love
these
that.
are these are
Cut out
mastermind.
the part where I talk about Andre getting puss. Cut that part out from your project.
That probably won't go so well. But I don't know if she'll watch the whole 45-minute video. I think I just need to quote a few things, but that won't be one of them. Last player for Illinois that's being considered in the draft this year. There were a few that I think if they had submitted their names, they probably would have been. But Kylan Boswell, who is now out of eligibility, he is looking to put himself on an NBA roster. He was invited to the combine, I believe, right?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
because it was him, Stojakovic, and Keaton. And I think he's been projected at like 55th or 56th in certain drafts that I've seen. Kind of an second round, end of the draft name that's been popping up. I like Kylan Boswell a lot, and I mean, I just see him as a player that could definitely make his way onto a two-league contract or two-way contract for a G League team and then plays for the NBA team sometimes. Um, he's just kind of gritty enough that I could see him carving out a role for a certain team. There's certain guys that that I was just like so sure would never play in the NBA, but then they were scrappy and I mean, this is a really bad example, but like Lance Stevenson was like just all nonsense and defense. That's like all he was good at in the NBA. And I'm not saying Kylan Boswell is going to be Lance Stevenson, but like sometimes an NBA team needs a guy like that who's going to dive on the floor, who's going to get a steal and scream in your face like he did against Bennett Sturt. So I could see him not being a star player on any NBA team, but I could see him having his moments here and there down the line. I think he'll definitely play overseas at a certain point, but he's a player that I could see, he pops his name up and has a 20-point game in the NBA, kind of like Yogi Ferrell did every once in a while. And then people are like, whoa, remember that guy in college? Kind of like Malcolm Hill did a few times he played for the Bulls and the Hawks for a little bit. And it was cool to see Malcolm Hill. So I could see Kylan Boswell being one of those players in the NBA. Do you guys have higher expectations for him than that? I love Kylan Boswell. Unfortunately, he's what, 6'3", barely.
6'2",
So yeah, he's like
6'2".
barely 6'2". So I've stood next to him. He was not much taller than myself, and I'm 5'9". 5'10", I like to round up to. So
Um, I would say I do. He's got to develop a jumper though.
yeah.
If he can get his three, he shot 30% last year from the college line. If he can shoot anywhere from 37 to 40%, and that is a hefty number, I know, but in the NBA, that's like not a hefty number. Like blink twice and there's somebody random that's shooting 40% in the NBA, right? So like, but if he's able to get to that 37 to 40% range, what's the difference between him and Jose Alvarado? Right? What's the difference between him and like Peyton Pritchard? What's the difference between him and like what's the kid's name on the Cason Wallace? I think Cason might be a little taller, but like you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of guys in that mold of like the backup point guard who's annoying. But the difference is those guys can shoot. So he's got to develop a jumper, but the pathway is definitely there.
The Bulls have who's the Japanese guy? Yuki whatever or
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Yuki? I couldn't.
Yeah, Yuki Mori or something.
I don't know what his name. I'm
We
not
were
gonna
it's
try.
gonna get racist quick, so we got to go to the next player. But yes, that guy.
Yeah, no, whatever his name is, I just remember he's like 5'8", and he carved out himself a role on the Bulls. So, but that was predominantly
Honestly,
because of the
man,
shooting. So,
to not to name drop the team with like all the Illinois players, but I'm supposed to believe there's a big difference between him and Mike Conley. Like maybe not prime Mike Conley, but
yeah,
like
no,
this year Mike Conley.
yeah, that's a good point. I think Mike Conley really only adds grittiness and veteran leadership, and I suppose that's kind of what Kylan Boswell would offer teams a few years down from the line.
Yeah,
Noah,
I
do
mean
you
he
think?
tells Ant to turn off IG Live. That's the bulk of his like value to the roster. It's like Ant,
Yeah,
like shut it down. Time to go to bed.
yeah, that's a good point. So I mean, hell, I like love him on the Timberwolves because just another Illinois player to cheer for, and like I said, I'm kind of a Timberwolves fan at this point. But Noah, do you see him having more of a career in the NBA? Not career, but more success in the NBA than that. I feel like we're potentially limiting his success, but I don't want to
He'd
like
be a good Detroit Piston, I think. He'd be a
like
real
a
good
bad
Detroit
boy
Piston.
Piston from the 90s or the 80s.
He'd be like a bad boy, but he'd be like a good boy, you know.
Okay.
He has the sage, and he's like just spreading positivity and really happy, but he's
He's
still
got to kill
gritty.
the Sage stuff though.
Yeah, for sure. He's
Well, you know
definitely
what
got
pisses me off is Hurley pulled out the sage and then proceeded to beat our ass in the Final Four. So I think the sage works. It's just you got to have the right person burning it.
NBA
But
locker rooms aren't doing the Sage.
Yeah.
no,
Like I would love for him to be on the Warriors. Draymond's not reacting well to Sage at
he'd be like,
practice.
"Hey guys, I got the sage." They'd be like, "Nah, nah, cut that out,
It
cut that out."
it immediately knocked out. Just immediately Jordan Poole punch. Just right away.
He comes in with a super soaker. He's like, "Come on, guys." They're like, "Nah, nah, nah."
Like
No, I think at one point in another podcast we did earlier, we got the team wrong because he said Desmond Bain and we both said the Memphis Grizzlies, which shows you how out of touch we are with the NBA because Desmond Bain's actually on Orlando now. But you did mention they have some similarities because they're just like they kind of remind like Marcus Smart was kind of that type of player. Like he just annoyed the crap out of guys. And Marcus Smart was probably a little bit better offensively.
They
Um,
both got toddler body.
what is that? What is
It's
that?
like you know how like a toddler's kind of built, like they got shorter limbs, but like a bigger body, bigger frame.
I've never heard of that before, but thank you for informing me about that one. I'll look out for that in the future. But yeah, I'm excited for Boswell. And then I know Dion, you were saying we did close the case. I think it was said that the fifth year of eligibility is not going to be extended to players who have already exceeded that. Well, it's kind of funny because Kylan is like he only played 4 years and he's what, 20 years old, or he just turned 21. So it's funny that there's these guys that have 7 years of NCAA experience, and they're still trying to get another year or trying to get a waiver somehow. Where it's like, how can Kylan not get a waiver somehow? But unless there's some like suing of the school or lawsuit of the school, I don't think he'll be able to return to college basketball. Let's talk more generally about the draft as a whole, not just Illinois basketball players in the draft. Um, who do you guys think is going to go number one? With the lottery will come out on the 10th, so we won't really know which team is going to have that number one pick. But most likely at the moment, I think was I gotta pull up the draft again. Uh, Anybody off the top of their head know that one? I think it
Is
was
it the Jazz?
I
that
want to
would
say
make
it is the
sense.
Jazz, which
Yeah.
obviously they got to get AJ. I
Oh
mean,
wait,
you
no,
kind
my
of know
bad.
that.
It's the Wizards. I'm sorry.
Oh, the Wizards
It's
gonna have like 1 and 6 potentially? Do they have two draft picks?
I don't think they have two.
Oh, because I was seeing them at 6 for Keaton stock, but I guess that's just if they fall really
Well, they
hard.
don't know yet, bro. That's the thing. They
I
they
think
got
it's
to do the lottery still.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean they could the Bull. I mean it could be like the Bulls when they got Derrick Rose and they weren't supposed to get that first pick, but
Let
um,
me hold on, let me look
it,
up that ESPN one. That was Tankathon. They might
Yeah.
get no, ESPN has the Wizards too.
okay. I was just gonna say I know if I pull it up on my computer right now, my screen's gonna start freezing and I'll blast off to space like Noah likes to call it. Um,
No, it's Wizards, Pacers, Nets, 1 through 3. Man, the Pacers are about to. Whoa.
yeah,
Talk about, I would not want to play for any of those teams. Jeez
I'd
Louise.
I'd go to Pacers
yeah,
with
the
Halliburton
Pacers.
and Siakam.
Yeah, Halliburton's coming back. They were what in the finals last year, so
I
they
think it's
just
just more
didn't have
about
Halliburton
this,
all season, unfortunately.
the new home of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, Indiana.
Is that
Um,
real?
Not
it's
not
looking
yet,
more and
no.
more likely, unfortunately. But uh,
Really?
yeah, we could talk about that on another podcast for fucking 45 minutes. But if you guys had to make, if you're an NBA GM and you get the first overall pick, I know it has a lot to do with fit for the team, but who would you guys say is the most talented player in this draft? I mean, talent wise, I might argue Darius Acuff, but if you're gonna draft number one and you are the GM and you don't want to lose your job, who are you going with? Noah, I'll start with you.
No, no, no. Go Dion first because
All
I'm
right,
looking something up.
all right, Dion.
Uh, for me, it's simple. I'm going AJ.
Yeah,
I'm going AJ. I
that
think if you go with anybody else, you get fired. That's my thought process. If you go with Darren Peterson, I'm big on not getting fired, by the way. If you haven't noticed that, like one of my main things in life, just don't get fired.
just don't
The
get fired.
rest should normally work itself out if you just don't get fired. But if you go with Cam, and his ceiling is what I believe his ceiling is, which is a little bit closer to like a Pascal Siakam than like a star. I don't want to compare him to Jokic, but like of that mold.
Hmm.
Um, if you go Darren Peterson and the injury concerns continue in the NBA, and then the whole time AJ was right there, the 6'10" guy who shoots threes, man, you're getting fired. Just immediately getting fired. And so I think AJ is not only do I think he's the most talented player in the draft, I think he's the safest pick. And he's the pick that, ensures you don't get fired.
I definitely agree with that sentiment. When I was looking at the draft order, or at least the mock draft order, just the difference between Boozer and DeBonsa to me is they're both 6'9". Obviously, Boozer's bigger in terms of weight, but Boozer's just like it. It's hard to have a 6'9" center in the NBA these days. Like they're all 7 footers. All the 7 footers kind of move like guards now, and they all shoot the three. Now, if this was the 80s, I think Cameron Boozer would be the number one pick undisputedly, because you need a big guy inside to bruise around at six
If
foot
this was
nine.
the 80s, Colin Boswell would be the number one pick.
Well, that's
That
also
beefy toddler body.
yeah, that's also very possible. But the game has evolved so much where these 6'9", 250 pound guys, like it's hard for them to carve out a role for themselves, unless they become really, really good shooters. Oh my gosh, you had to bring
Is
Jelly.
that Jelly Roll?
The
Noah brings
number
Jelly
one
Roll into
pick.
every episode. Like if
The
we didn't
number
talk
one
about Jelly Roll
pick.
once, it wasn't a Chillinois podcast episode.
The number one pick in the NBA draft by the Chicago Bulls
This
is
is what you
the
were
Jelly
making us
Roll.
wait on.
He's lost weight, man. I watched him at WrestleMania a few weeks ago.
It's true. Yeah.
If you ever meet Jelly Roll, please send us a contact because Noah's been dying to have him on this podcast. Like we really like the sleepers guys, and this was a big moment for us, but Jelly Roll would be like number 1A,
It
unfortunately,
started
on
when he
this
went when
podcast.
he was for whatever reason, announcing the Illinois-Tennessee game, and he hopped on the commentator booth and started talking for 20 minutes. He's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I was in jail."
Did he really announce the Illinois Tennessee game?
He was
Yeah, well, it was in
commentating like the
Tennessee.
the first
He's
like
he's
15 minutes.
he's a Tennessee fan, so they let him hop on and they let him announce the game for a bit. He actually did a really good job, I think, compared to most guys who come on and just keep talking and don't let the announcers talk. But anyway, since then we've been big Jelly Roll guys on this podcast. But Noah, do you have a legitimate first round pick? Are you or are you going to just go with the consensus that it should be AJ DeBonsa?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. You just got to go with the consensus. I mean, when you got somebody that talented, that skilled, you got to go with him, especially if you're the Wizard. I mean, if Utah gets him, obviously they're going to go for him. But if you're the Wizards still, I mean, you've got nothing right now to go off of. So just go with the
You
best
got Will
player.
Riley.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like, dude, that's the thing. If Will Riley's like, is he coming off the bench? He
I think he
on
was
the
starting at
on
the end
the
of the
the
year.
Washington Wizards, so that concerns me. Maybe he's
Yeah,
not as good as I thought.
Who, Will Riley?
Yeah.
Tough game to translate.
yeah,
Tough. Like I think he is as good as you think he is, probably. I said the same thing about Terrence Shannon. Like it's similar to me. Both of them need the ball in their hands to be successful. And look at how many injuries it's taken for Terrence Shannon to like finally explode. Will Riley's probably in that same mold of like he probably like this is why I love Kylan so much, and I do think the Kylan stuff is going to work. I do love guys that are willing to accept a role and play a role. Will Riley like was not that at Illinois
yeah.
necessarily. Like that's something I think with Andre. Like, hey man, just go. Cause like just go. Like, cause you don't want to play a role that's actually gonna get you to where you need to be, and Will Riley's in that same boat. It's just Jamal Crawford, one of the most talented players ever. If he was just willing to play off ball and like he wouldn't have had to be a six man. He had to be a six man because he wanted the ball in his hands with like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on his team. It's like, brother,
Mhm.
it's just not gonna happen.
I mean, I guess in Will Riley's defense, they don't really have a plethora of talent at the moment, so there is opportunity for him to have the ball. But I agree with you that like if he's on a more talented team, that's not going to be a case he finds himself in.
Yeah. He's
Um,
getting killed in the G League though. Like when they do the G League stints, Will Riley's hitting for 50.
yeah, no, I think I've seen like 35, 40 point games. It's cool to see the Illini men's basketball team repost that on Instagram because it's like, oh, we are succeeding in the NBA. Now, not first overall pick, but I'll finish up my questions for you guys at least by asking favorite player in the draft or like player that you're most excited to see get drafted, either because they're going to get drafted to a good situation, you think, or just somebody that you think is under the radar that's going to have a really big impact for an NBA team in the first season that they play.
You want to go first, Noah? Me?
Noah's got
Yeah,
a chat
you gotta go.
GPT a picture of Jelly Roll real quick, so
I like Acuff, man. I think Acuff's my favorite player in the draft. Everyone always laughs when I say this, but I'm a big RP3 guy. So I've been following Rashad Phillips since like whenever he popped off with like the weird position stuff, and he kept talking about his nephew, and I didn't know who his nephew was. And then like around Acuff's senior year of high school, when he went to IMG and everything, I'm like, oh, this is the kid that's going with Cal next year. Like his nephew's sick. He wasn't just saying that because it's his nephew. His nephew's actually sick. But he's been
mhm.
talking about his nephew since he was a freshman. So I feel like I've kind of like oddly watched Darius Acuff grow up, I guess you could say. So he's my favorite prospect just because like I have more knowledge of him than some of the other ones just with the 1 year they were in college. But also, I mean, kid's a killer, man. Like game on the line. What's his name? Kellerman said, I want Acuff. Like
Yeah.
he
I
was so
want
much fun.
Iguodala.
Yeah. He's so much fun, man. Like he's just wildly entertaining and like respectfully like Caleb Wilson and them. I'm good. I'm good.
I feel like there's a
Okay.
lot of that in the NBA already, and Acuff is just, I agree with you. Just watching him this year, he was by far the player that I watched. Like, I'm pretty Illinois biased, obviously, but the player that I watched when I wasn't watching Illinois basketball that was the most exciting to me to watch was definitely Darius Acuff Jr. And then every single time I saw comparisons between like who's the better point guard, him and Wagler, I was like, this isn't even a question in my head. Like, I love Keaton Wagler, and I think he was great for Illinois, but you're asking me who I'd rather have on a team for five-side basketball? Like, come on, it's got to be Darius Acuff every single time. But Noah, do you have a guy you're high on that maybe teams aren't looking at the moment, but will maybe rise up in draft stocks?
Yes, I do. And I asked ChatGPT to generate me a picture of him in a Bulls jersey, and I want you to guess who you think this player is. Who do you think this player is? Who do you think I
That
typed
Bennett
in?
Sturts?
It looks like Bennett Sturts, but I typed in Braden Smith,
Oh
and
my
that is the
God.
picture that it generated. But I think Braden Smith, I was thinking to pick Bennett Sturts, but I was like, I gotta go with Braden Smith. But he would be a great player. I'd love him on the Bulls, to be honest. He's just like super high IQ, just seems like a really, really nice guy. Obviously, friends
You've
of the
been a
Sleepers channel. And
Braden
if he's
Smith
friends of the
hater.
Sleepers channel, he's friends with Chillinois basketball.
Where did this come from? You've been a Braden Smith hater all season, Noah. Like all season.
I have not particularly been a Braden Smith hater. I've been a Rez Johnson hater. I've been a Purdue hater. I've been a TKR hater many times.
Well, I
But
do
I
know for a fact at one point when Goodman said that Braden or that Mihailo Petrovic might be the next Braden Smith, you said that's disrespectful to Mihailo Petrovic. So,
That's a compliment to
Oh,
Braden Smith. That is a compliment to Braden Smith. I'm just very high on Mihailo Petrovic.
okay.
said no one ever, besides me.
This
We
is me
Besides
love
me.
riffing.
Mihailo.
I'm trying to get him to come to DePaul. I want Mihailo as our starting point guard. So
Has he not committed anywhere yet?
No, I don't
no,
think so. I haven't seen it, but I don't think
It's
DePaul would
tough.
add him, but I would love for DePaul to add him. If we get Chris Holtman on the podcast in the next 2 weeks, because
he
well
said he's coming on. He said he's coming
he
on.
did
By
say
the
he was
way,
going to come on and talk with us, which was cool, but he said once portal season winds down, so I'm not really sure when that officially is. But maybe we should
Never.
hop in early and be like, Coach, you got to get Mihailo Petrovic. Like there's this guy and he's still waiting for an offer. You need Mihailo Petrovic on your team. That would be we could maybe have that influence, but anyways,
Has there been like any Mahilo rumors?
I haven't heard anything on him.
I heard Guangdong Tigers, but anything other than that, I haven't heard.
I think I don't like I would love to see him play college basketball, but the most recent rumor, which I heard mid-season, was he'd probably go back to Europe and play again. But
I was gonna say the same way. I don't think Andre really ever wanted to play college basketball. I don't know that Petra ever did. I think Petra was just trying to get a bag so he can move home and like
yeah,
open up a business.
Open up a
we'll end
bakery or
with
something.
that question. What do you think Mihailo Petrovic's best business endeavor could be? What kind of
I
He
sales does
want.
he
seemed
get
like he'd
into?
be a cobbler. He'd like work on shoes.
I watched him warm up when they played Michigan, and G and I were like on the court. G was talking to Tyler Underwood, and I'm like standing 5 feet away from Petro, and he hits like a step back three against nobody. G and I walk off the court. I said, "Hey man, there's something there with Petro."
I mean, I watched that Alabama game where he had like a quick 9 points, and it was like I thought that was like the revelation where this is where we're gonna get the turning point, but no, it didn't work out. And although we are Mihailo Petrovic supporters, it was
The
unfortunate that
crazy
he
thing, dude, Petro's highlight of his season was the bounce between the legs pass to AJ Red for that 3-point shot.
that could be argued. That's probably his most impressive
What
highlight.
happened to AJ Red?
He's working for Larry Geese. He's like a multi-millionaire businessman now. He's like a real
Yeah,
finance guy.
how do
Yeah.
you do that?
He was the whatever he won the
Scholar
award for the
athlete,
yeah
yeah.
Scholar Athlete Award for that NCAA whatever region Illinois played in the South region. He won like the highest GPA of any player on any team in that region. So
They
and
made
then
him go to class during the fucking tournament. They're like, AJ, you got to go to class still. You don't get to come with us.
Noah, I know you had some final questions. I'm out of
Oh,
questions.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have some questions. Well, first I wanted to ask, did you see the DJ Smirk stuff? Did you get to watch his performance at all? He,
Yeah, the I didn't watch all of it, but
it seemed like it
uh,
was just auxing, like he just plugged his phone and just started playing songs on Spotify. I don't think he actually mixed anything.
no, it was very bizarre, but it was entertaining though. Everything worked out. I
And
will
then
say that
Ty Rogers was standing next to him, but then Brandon Lee was in the crowd filming him. Like, why wasn't Brandon Lee up there too?
Brandon Lee might be in the portal, but
They're all in the portal. That's the thing. They're both in the portal. So what are they
really,
doing there? It's
They're
like,
finishing up classes. They're still students.
see,
true.
I wouldn't do that. once I'm in the portal for class too. Like
Well, I
we'll
was
sort that out at the next
If I'm in
location.
the portal, I'm causing a scene in class. I'm throwing shit everywhere. I'm like, I'm out this bitch. I'm
I was
leaving.
texting I was texting in the Chillinois group chat the other day because when I go to class at DePaul now, I keep seeing these players who have already transferred away from DePaul. I saw Kaman Maker the other day. I saw Isaiah Medina the other day. I saw who was the third guy? RJ Smith. They've already all committed to different schools, and I was like, "What the hell are you guys doing on my campus still, you traitors?"
Get the hell out of here.
I
They
didn't
once
say
you
that to
commit,
the
you should.
7-1 Kaman Maker, obviously. I didn't want to start a fight or cause a scene, but no, it is odd that they stick around. I mean, there was a video of Petrovic playing like ping pong on Adam Fletcher's story like 3 or 4 days ago, so he's still on campus. But um,
Petro, I could see going back for what it's worth.
If he gets no offers and he's like, ah, fuck it, I'll just play off the bench and get, 500K, whatever.
Mishko's got me.
It's
Uh,
not like they don't need him. You know, like
true.
there is a role for Petro that you can visually see on this roster. Like somebody's
Honestly,
got to be the backup point guard, right?
Especially with
in
no Keaton. With no Keaton, his role looks a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's obviously the opportunity for like Zenz or Ethan Brown or some of those guys to step up, but I mean, Petrovic does offer experience. So no, but you did you have any other questions?
So the last thing that we're going to talk about today,
Oh, come on. We're gonna no.
Ch- Chase told us a story. He told me a story, the other night in the
I'm glad
text
this is
group
at the
chat.
end, so people have to wait and watch the entire thing. But
What's the
Ch-
story?
Chase
well,
told us a story, and I was like, dude, you got to tell this story in the podcast. It's
I
so funny.
demanded everybody post their huddle tape from high school in the Chillinois basketball group chat, whether it be basketball or I played soccer, so I posted my goalie tape, and my goalie tape was like 35 seconds. But everybody was like talking about their favorite basketball memory, and one of the guys we added to do our Twitter, he was saying that. He was playing on senior night for Libertyville and he hit a three because they let the seniors play in the first quarter and he just chucked one up and he sent us the video and it was the loudest response you've ever seen. So it was like the story about where like that autistic guy like hit like 5 or 6 threes in a row and everybody went crazy for him on senior night. Anyways, it reminded me of when I played eighth grade basketball and that was the extent of my basketball career. It ended in eighth grade. And Noah, I gotta preface this story by saying I at one point worked my way into the starting lineup and then I got a concussion. So I was coming back from a concussion and I was like the last person in the rotation. So I didn't play very much after that. And we were playing a team we had played earlier on in the season and they were like the top of our division. They like beat the crap out of us in both games. But the first game, they had understood that we had a student manager who had Down syndrome on our team. Very cool guy. I don't know where he is now, but I would still like to see him. He was a very cool guy. He was a friend of mine in middle school. But that was they knew that he was on our team and that we put him in at the end of the games if we were getting beat by 40 or if we were winning by 40. Anyways, he was not at the game the second time for whatever reason. I don't remember exactly, but I'm coming off the bench at the end of the game. Um, Coach puts me in. We're down 40 points, and I'm defending the guy who has the ball, and I was being goofy because it was the end of the game. We're down 40 points. So I'm jumping up in his face, like, "Woo, give me the ball, give me the ball." And so he, not knowing that the student manager with Down syndrome wasn't there at the game, assumed I was that student manager, and he gave me the ball and let me score. And he walked me down the court and he asked me to take a layup. Um, and then
Didn't you didn't you jack up a three?
yeah, well, there was like a mishap with the clock.
There
And
was a mishap with the
the
clock.
clock said 3 seconds, but it was actually 13 because the one side of the clock wasn't like flashing correctly. So I was like, oh gosh, here's my chance to heave a half quarter. And I airballed a half quarter and it just went out of bounds on like 2 bounces. And the horn didn't even go off. So I was like, what the hell happened? And then everybody realized that I actually wasn't the student manager with Down syndrome. And I just heaved a half quarter that the kid gave me the ball on. And that was, like I said, that was really the last time I played organized basketball. Noah,
What
thank
year was
you.
that?
The eighth grade. I would that would have
Okay.
been 2012, 2011.
They
How
looked
old
at
are
him
you
and
guys?
said, "This kid's definitely got Down syndrome. Give him the ball."
Come on, Noah. Thanks for
How
making
many
me.
people are in the Chillinois group chat?
It's just the five of us right now, but we were thinking about maybe getting like a Discord going so we could have like fans talk in it. But right now it's just we added some people. We'll give them a shout out. Connor Blasmo and Jordan Swanson. They were both just fans of ours who had messaged us a few times throughout the season. We're like we'd love to help out, and we were looking to expand a little bit on different social media platforms. So we were like, if you guys want to come on and and manage these for us, that'd be pretty cool.
I think was it you two that do the DePaul podcast, or was there somebody
Mhm.
else on there too?
We had it in a third guy, a guy we know from DePaul, Jonathan. So he's our Demon Hour co-host with me. But yeah, we started DePaul this year as well. So
I watched that. I watched that last night. Actually, it was good. It was
hopefully
good.
they have a good season because the first year we did the Chillinois podcast, Illinois ended up in the Final Four. So we're hoping at least we can bring our magic and get DePaul into the tournament. And with the
I think
76 team expansion, I think it should be possible.
so. As a West Virginia alumni, I would like to encourage people like DePaul. Not everybody needs to make the tournament. There's nothing wrong with winning the crown. There's nothing
Hey,
wrong
we've
with.
been big Crown tournament fans until they limited the amount of teams that were in it and said DePaul can't be in it again. So we were like, now we're against the Crown. But
DePaul hasn't
But
made the tournament in like 25 years. We have the longest active streak of not making the tournament.
Dion, I guess we can ask you that. Do you have any thought? That'll be our last question. Do you have any thoughts on DePaul basketball for next year? Any insight on their transfer portal? I don't know if you saw the hashtag DeHall, but
I like that.
yeah, it's hashtag the DeHall. But we did add some pretty good players in the transfer portal, most notably Magoon Guath, and then
Yeah,
we've titled it Goon and Poop because it's Ade Papula as well. Or what's his name? Ade Papula? He was a Tulsa transfer. So we've got Goon
Yeah.
and Poop on our team now, which
so
we're trying to trademark and make merch for that, but we're gonna see how that goes.
so I listen. I I've been known to like not watch certain teams.
Wait, you're telling me you don't watch DePaul basketball every game?
You wouldn't
Listen,
be the first
I
one to
value
say
my
it.
time. There's only 24 hours in the day.
We
Then you better
But
spend every one of those watching DePaul basketball.
I will say when I was trying to rack like when you're asking like what I think of the portal class, I only know the one name Magoon Guak, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But I was trying to rack my name of who it was because when I saw the commitment, I remember scrolling past it and then scrolling back up and being like, wait, is that really because Magoon Guak last year was deciding between San Diego State, Kentucky, and the NBA.
Yep.
It settled on San Diego State. And then when he hit the portal this year, like because he was great last year. Like it's not
Yeah.
like he had a bad year by any means. Like
I think he
he
was
was phenomenal last year.
defensive player in the year in the Mountain West last season.
Yeah. So
Uh,
when he hit the portal this year, I'm like, oh, he's choosing between like Kentucky, Duke, Carolina, like Blue Bloods was all I was thinking. And then I saw DePaul and I said, okay. I mean,
we were mid podcast. We were doing a recording of the
It was the
players that
first
are already
episode of the
committed.
DePaul podcast, I think, that we ever
Yeah, and we
did.
were mid recording, and and Noah goes, "Wait, breaking news from DePaul: Magoon Guath just committed," and I couldn't even believe it because like you, I was like, he's going to Kentucky, he's going to North Carolina. Um,
yeah.
I mean, I guess we just stole one out of Mark Pope. I've heard some interesting things about Mark Pope in this portal cycle, but I mean, Chris Holtman got in his bag and said, "Magoon Guath, you're coming to Chicago, Illinois." So we couldn't be more excited. Um, the players I've run into on campus, they're also extremely excited to get Magoon Guath there. From what I've been told, at least, they're like, "We cannot wait to have this 7 footer with us." So
What's your major?
I'm going to end up graduating with a business communications major, but I've been in school for the longest time. So very unorthodox college experience on
If
my
you
end.
want to go back, you were saying you want to go back to college. Do what Chase is doing, because whatever he's doing, he's got to figure it out. He's still in that bitch.
Yeah, it's been 8 years and counting now, but it's been back and forth between going and not going, but it'll all be
It took
done.
me 6 for my undergrad too, brother.
It,
It
it
took me 6.
it'll work out how it's supposed to, and it is funny now that I'm going to classes and stuff. It's cool because I do run into these players, and I'm like, hey, can we get a shout out for the podcast? And I'm talking to 18-year-olds
He's
asking
like, "Are you my professor?"
me.
I will say the beginning of your how do you say Chillinois?
Illinois, yeah,
I'm bad with how to say Illinois in general,
yeah, all
so that
good.
but when you have all the players saying it, dope, dope.
I tried to make that. I had somebody make that for me, but my thought was like, if you ever played EA Sports video games like back in the day, and they all used to like either it was NHL and they'd skate up and they'd say EA Sports, it's in the game. So I was like,
Yeah.
what if we can get them that to do
You were
that?
grind. You were at the game. I mean, Chase was. He stayed
That was
late. He was getting
that
the
was the
getting the.
bragging rights game, and I stood in a crowd of a bunch of 8-year-olds asking Andrei Stojakovic for autographs, and I had to stand there embarrassingly with my phone as a 27-year-old and be like, Andre, I don't want an autograph. Can you shout out my podcast? And he just looked at me and was like, sure, I guess I can.
Was that the
Uh,
Michigan game?
No, the bragging rights game in Missouri. My dad and I went to St.
Mm.
Louis for that one. They beat Missouri by like 40 points, and then all the players came up in the stands with the trophy, so it was easy to talk to them. But
What
admittedly,
were
it was,
the bragging rights?
well, that okay. I think you guys have brought that up
Shittiest
on the podcast.
fucking
No, you guys have
shittiest
brought that up on
program.
Sleepers before, I think, because you guys were talking about whether the bragging rights game was Missouri versus Kansas, but it's because they're like the campuses are only like 50 miles apart. So
Gosh.
it's like Columbia and Champaign are like 50 to 80 miles apart, so they play in St. Louis every year. In the past, it's been a better rivalry because the teams were both better. They used to pack the stands more and it'd be like half gold and black, half orange and blue. Now it's mostly just orange and blue, and Illinois wins every year. But next year should be exciting because Missouri's got some good recruits, and if I get to go to it again, I'm hoping for a better game than a 40-point
Well,
blowout at least. But
I'm glad I'm consistent.
yeah,
I didn't know what the bragging rights were 5 months ago, and I still don't.
well,
So,
now you know, and if you want to get yourself down to St. Louis and join me for the game, I'll probably be there next year. But it's a cool environment. But St. Louis is admittedly, I went there like 8 years ago. St. Louis is like dead now. Like there's nothing going on. Really, the only people I saw in the city walking around were Illinois fans, and I was like, they're only here for this 24 hours for the game. But
nah, but Champagne next year.
yeah, no. Oh, you guys are going to Champagne?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Cool.
it's not like official, but like yeah, I'd say
You
it's a
could
pretty safe bet we're in Champagne for a game.
you could
Well,
go to the UConn Illinois game in United Center this year in
yeah.
December.
If you
I didn't like the United Center that much.
really, I mean, I
It's
could
all
see.
right.
So,
I went to the Fiserv Forum last year for an NCAA tournament game, and that was like worlds beyond what the United Center was. Like, I will say the United Center is a little outdated, but
Wintrust Arena though, where DePaul plays, is actually super dope. It's
that
brand
place is
new. I'm
nice.
not kidding. It is super dope. They built it like maybe 10 years ago, and it's where the Chicago Sky play as well. But
really,
it's like state of the art.
It is nice. So if you ever find yourself in Chicago and or either for a United Center game or a Wintrust DePaul game, we'll definitely have to be in touch. But I feel like we've been talking for like an hour and 10 minutes now. So Dion, I mean, we don't want to take any more of your time. I know it's late in California where you are. It's late for us too. But firstly, I just want to say once again, thank you so much for being with us, man. This was an honor to have you on the podcast. Like I said, we've been fans of you guys at Sleepers for a long time before we even started doing this too. To see one of the Sleepers guys on our podcast is very full circle and cool for us. So thanks for joining us, man.
of course, guys, I appreciate you boys. Anytime, just hit me up. That was a lot of
Absolutely,
fun.
we'll do that. Thank you guys for watching this. We will have another DePaul episode coming out in the next week or so, potentially with Chris Holtman, but that might be on delay just a little bit because of the portal. But we'll keep you guys updated on that. And we are trying to get DePaul merch out eventually. I'm still in talks with our merch designer, but I know that's been on delay. So also we did hit 200, excuse me, we did hit 200 subscribers over the weekend. So I know, as I promised you guys, I will make a list of all the subscribers and all our Instagram followers, and I will do a random number generator and select one subscriber or follower to receive some free merchandise. So I'll be in touch with you guys about that. And if your name is called and you'd like some free merch, just let me know and I'll send it to you like I did for our tournament bracket challenge.
This
But
is the
other than
same. We've
that,
done two giveaways now. I mean, not many channels have done two giveaways at 200 subs.
we're just trying to give free stuff away. We love our fans here. So, but once again, thanks Dion for being with us. Noah, I guess this was an Illinois episode, so we'll end it like we usually do, ILL.
I baby with Baba Sajivasic, the
There's the
mascot
gnome.
of the channel.
There's the gnome.